All right, getting ready to do an install of a brand new carburetor on my 1972 Corvette. It's a 406, Keith black pistons, about 9.5 to 1 compression, maybe a little bit more. Dart Iron Eagle heads. Stock Rochester carburetors always left me wishing I had a little bit more. So got a hold of this Edelbrock Thunder Series AVS. It's an 1813, which is an 800 CFM. It's got electric choke. So this thing ought to rip, but it also, with the electric choke, be a nice little driver. Start it up when it's cold, idle nice, let it get warmed up, and then rock and roll. So we'll go along with this with install. I picked up a bunch of Russell and Edelbrock parts to go with it. I got this Edelbrock fuel line kit. Pretty awesome little kit. Banjo bolt drops off of the back of the carburetor and runs down with this fitting on the front. Also has a little fitting right here, a little hole for a fuel pressure gauge, so I can see what the what the fuel pressure is right at the carburetor. Makes it pretty nice. One thing to keep in mind is when you're buying and running this AVS, it does not have an internal fuel filter. So I picked up this Russell brand, but it's an Edelbrock fuel filter with the AN fittings on it to run it in line after my regulator on the way to the carburetor. So that should be a nice little install too. So also got this Pro Series, Pro Flex Series hose. Can't have a nice new carburetor and running all this nice stuff around here without the right hoses. So this Pro Flex hose ought to keep the fuel protected, make it look nice as well going down the road. Additionally, I got all these Russells, all the appropriate Russell fittings in AN sizes and some MPT to AN to adapt to a fuel regulator. Pretty much anything and everything I needed to make this Edelbrock carburetor rock and roll on this Corvette. So I'm going to get ready to do the install, get on with it, and we'll cut in a little bit every once in a while and show some videos of the install. All right, little dry run here, sure looks pretty. What I did is I installed the Edelbrock fuel line kit right here, just to make sure everything fits right on the motor, doesn't interfere with any linkage and all that kind of stuff. A little bit of a dry run. So a nice banjo fitting, everything went together nice and smooth. And this is an Aeromotive fuel pressure gauge. So it sits real nice right there, a nice little angle, easy to read, and should be sweet. So looks like all my fuel lines are gonna line up right. I should be in a good spot to start running these fuel lines. So I'll get started on that, and I'll give you an update in a little bit. All right, we got the fuel pressure regulator installed and the fuel line run. So we got the Russell Pro Flex. This is an AN8. I originally had an AN6 fuel line here, but I didn't think it was going to fit over the fitting here, or if it did, it was going to be a little bit too tight over the nipple fitting on this Edelbrock fuel elbow here. So I went with the AN8 line here. Just a heads up there, if you're thinking about buying that, you might want to check into AN8 instead of an AN6. So Edelbrock recommends between 5.5 and 6.5 PSI. So we'll go ahead and get this thing fired up, check the fuel pressure, check for leaks, and then we'll do some other idle adjustments and run it, see how it feels. All right, here we go. We're going to fire this thing up, check the fuel pressure, check for leaks, and then we'll let it run for a little bit and adjust the idle if we needed. And again, probably when it's a little bit colder right now, it's pretty warm outside. So when it's a little bit colder, we'll check the fast idle on the choke. So here we go. Right up, running pretty smooth. I don't see any fuel leaks up on top. I'll check the fuel leaks down below on the pump in a minute, but right now it looks like we're running probably about 6 PSI. So I'm going to turn that down a little bit to right at, or just right under 6. It looks like it's moving down a little bit. Pretty good start. I'm going to make some final adjustments on it, and we'll go from there. All right, as you saw, the thing fired right up, and that was pretty impressive. Didn't even take much time to build up fuel pressure or anything. That thing just cranked up, fired up, everything was awesome. Fast idle kicked in a little bit, so RPM was a little bit high in that video. We were able to get it down, turn it down a little bit, warm it up, turn it down to about 700 RPM. Great idle, just awesome. So again, even though it's a little bit warm out here in Northern California today, choke mechanism worked perfect. Warmed up a little bit, hit the accelerator, choke kicked off, idle right down 700 RPM with a little bit of adjustment. So wife is very happy that her car starts up and idles when it's cold. Super impressed by that. So just want to thank Rick down at Champion Cooling and the guys at Edelbrock for helping me come up with a solution to this problem that I was having, and really looking forward to the performance of this Thunder AVS. Again, the motor's it's a 406, it's full roller, 9.5 to 1 Keith Black pistons, dark Iron Eagle heads, and it's got the Edelbrock 2101 Performer manifold on it, Edelbrock Performer 2101. Great option for you Corvette guys where there's not a lot of hood clearance. That was pretty much the only great option that I had for manifold without having to modify the hood. So this Thunder AVS on top of the 2101 with all the other stuff going on, I'm sure it's gonna rip. So we're gonna go out, we're gonna put some miles on it, see if we need to make any adjustments to any tuning, air fuel, some of the metering jets. I've been watching the videos on the Edelbrock website and it looks pretty simple to do. So again, we're going to go out and put some miles on it, see how it runs, see if we need to make any adjustments. Rick, Champion Cooling, thank you. And Edelbrock, thank you very much.